My goodness gracious, Anthony. Somehow it got to be May 27th. So I think today we should probably talk to some major convention and visitors bureaus. What do you think?
I think major event conventions, things like that, Glenn. I think today's a good day, Glenn.
Well said.
And that's why I love you, Glenn, because you think that was well said. That was like as bad as it could have been said. Apparently, I can't speak and think at the same time. I was in the sun too much this morning because I was putting up. My daughters decided they wanted to paint the shower house. We need to be so we have a shower house. So they thought it was a really good idea to paint it. So I knew before they walk up, I better go and tape everything and seal the deck with plastic so they don't get it on my new deck. So that's what I was doing. So I'm a little melted from the sun.
Wow. Well, I'm happy to say that it's finally warm here in New York. And yesterday was the first day I got out and about and felt a little bit of sweat over there. So it's great. Yay. So happy summer-like season to everybody out there.
So would you like to be a president or a director of a convention bureau right now?
Right now? Like today?
Right.
Or back in January?
No, right now.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I don't think I'd like to be anything right about now. Except maybe you. I think I'd like to be you right about now. That might be about it. And Anthony is now muted himself.
I muted myself simply because my dog started to bark.
All right. Well, that's fine. All right. So we know how this show is going to go. It can only get better from here. And that's why today we're going to be talking to folks from convention and visitors bureaus. But before we do that, oh my goodness, I am so bad at all of this promotion. Be sure you subscribe to our newsletter. Text the word hotel to 66866. That's the word hotel to 66866. But more importantly, Anthony, on June 3rd at 8 p.m., you are going toe-to-toe, head-to-head, everything, all those euphemisms against people playing a live poker tournament for the Hospitality Strong charity. Isn't that right?
Yes, please go to... Where can they go to find about the tournament? They can go to pokerwithanthony@gmail.com.
Just send us an email.
Pokerwithemail@gmail.com. And David, our producer, will get you all the information you need. It's for a good cause. Everyone in the hospitality industry is struggling at one level or another. 90% of employees here in New York and 70% around the country are out of work. So we're trying to help housekeepers, front desk people, whether they pay their Con Edison bill or whether it be just put a little food on the table. We're trying to do everything we can. So I'm a poker player. So bring your best poker skills and see me on June 3rd.
Excellent. And for those people that are not from New York, Con Ed is the company everyone buys electricity from in New York. So buy-in is $300. And for an additional $250, you get a signed tie from Anthony Melchiori himself. And if you want to pony up $1,000, well, you can co-host the event with me because I'll be doing play-by-play alongside our guest segment producer, David Mignano, who's a big poker player. I know the rules. I'm just not good at it. So we'll have a lot of fun back and forth. Your company's branding, you could join us to be part of that for just $1,000. And don't forget, $300 minimum buy-in, and send that email right now to pokerwithanthony@gmail.com.
And Larry Corman, who was on yesterday, he's going to donate, but he's going to have his brother play. So maybe, Larry, if you're listening, you can donate the $1,000 and you can do commentary with my friend Glenn. That is a pleasure. Trust me.
I like that. Plus, I know Chris Green is going to be involved. So we're not just talking about playing with, everyday people. We're talking about playing against some of the biggest executives and the number one personality in our business. And yes, I'm talking about Anthony. I'm the number 47 personality, I think. But I'm hoping to get up to number 42 by the end of this year. All right, enough of my stupidness. Let's talk a little CVB. Let's welcome to the gauntlet. We've got Mitch Whitten, EVP of Visit Fort Worth, Mary Quinn Ramer, President of VisitLEX, and that is Lexington, Kentucky, and Julie Wagner, CEO of the Beverly Hills Conference and Visitors Bureau. Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. Very excited to see you all here today.
Very excited to be here.
Hello.
So before this all happened, you guys were the most underappreciated people in our business, and people always said to you, What are you doing for my fee? Why not me? Why aren't I on the top? Why aren't you thinking about my hotel? Why aren't you thinking about my business? Right?
Not really. I mean, we live in a small community, so it's a little different, maybe.
Or maybe it's a little different, but I know in New York that was always the question. And as I speak to people around the country, that's usually the question. But now, you guys are the most important people in our business. So let's start with ladies first. So Mary, what is it like?
Mary Quinn.
Mary Quinn. I'm sorry, Mary Quinn. What is it like for you?
What is it like to be a president of a organization in 2020?
Yes.
Different than 2019. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot has changed over the last 3 months, and certainly the normal day-to-day routine of life at a DMO has shifted significantly. So right now, we are very busy just doing the best we can to advocate on behalf of the industry and to try and do everything in our power to help inform guidelines and strategies for reopening the economy. We're all eager to get things started again, but of course we want to do so in a way that is respectful and responsible and keeping people's health and safety at the forefront. So we've spent a lot of time in the advocacy space and also in the just community relations, community support space of late.
So before you can fly and before you can really even bring visitors in, you have to make sure everybody's safe. So Julie, what does that look like in your neck of the woods?
Well, we've been really focused on inspiring people. And I mean, I think the community advocacy is a big part of it, but our focus has been to keep Beverly Hills top of mind from an aspirational perspective during this time so that people continue to dream and continue to think about us. And then from an advocacy perspective, we are, planning. And of course, because this is such a fluid situation, we're planning and adjusting and planning and then adjusting again. But I think the region, and I'm pretty sure the industry is going to be very focused on as the first step for recovery on marketing to local drive market, because I think people are going to be more comfortable getting in their cars than they are going to be getting on planes right away. And, California is taking a very strong leadership role, and we're just waiting for LA County really to, release and relax some of the regulations.
And speaking of releasing and relaxing the regulations, Mitch, Texas has been opening up a little bit earlier than us. We just got the thumbs up here on Long Island, where I'm coming from, to open up today. How have things changed for you since people started going back out in public?
Well, in addition to what Julie and Mary Quinn said, in Fort Worth, Texas, we've been really focused on community support. That's getting the word out that restaurants are open, getting, our first visitors are going to be locals, and making sure they know all the options and how the great standards restaurants are opening up with. Hotels are starting to either reopen or ramp back up. We've seen hotels hit as high as 50% occupancy just from staycationers wanting to get out and get out of their house after 2 months of isolation. So it's really been local partnerships, local message, because we think that's the bridge to getting to the other side of this when we really start welcoming those visitors back from further afield.
Yeah, that's right. Anthony, you've muted yourself again, so I'm going to take this opportunity to talk. Anthony, they're saying smart things. As a matter of fact, today and this afternoon, you'll see a report on my No Vacancy News Today program where I do 3 to 5 minutes of news and commentary on the issues that matter most. We're seeing this big surge in trying to promote that local travel. The last few weeks on the show, we've been really talking about how that's going to come first. Now I'm seeing hotels. Now I'm seeing PR people. Now I'm seeing CVB people get smart enough to start promoting things like one-tank getaways, right? So those staycations that you can just hop in your car, feel safe, drive 1, 2, 3 hours away, and be able to have that getaway vacation that you want without the levels of hassle and friction that have been imposed by this COVID-19 virus. So, Mary Quinn,
I think in some markets you're going to see some of the best occupancy you've ever seen.
Yep.
I think there are a lot of people that feel that, we flatten the curve and it's time to go. It's time to spend money and all that pent up money that they've been saving. Unfortunately, I haven't saved money. I don't know. I have 3 girls at home and they eat a lot. But I think people are ready to go at it. I'm already thinking about my vacation of kind of where we're going to go. And it will be a dry vacation because my wife will not get on a plane. Me and Glenn, hopefully, cross your fingers, in a week we'll be on a plane somewhere to show you something pretty exciting. but we'll see. So what are the, Mitch, did I hear you right when you said 50% occupancy? What were the numbers you said again?
Well, there's no question that the whole industry is suffering, and we've had hotels close, and our hotel occupancy has dipped from 80% to 5% in the thick of the virus. But but looking to some of the bright side, we've seen searches up this week over last week for hotels up 50%. We've seen a couple of hotels hit 50% occupancy from staycations. We know the road to recovery is still a long, long way. But it is good to see some of these early signs that people want to get out and they want to move around. I think it's helpful just to say that, there's so much focus on when are the big events coming back, sports and concerts. We can't wait, but we know that's got some time to go. And so we need to remind people that tourism is not just the big events. It's the freedom to roam and to get out and explore.
What are the words that are coming up in Google that people are looking for? Anybody do search terms where people are searching for? Have you guys done any of that work?
Julie, unmute yourself.
Road trip.
Road trip. Okay, that's the word that keeps coming up, huh?
That's a popular one.
Wow, that's good for Route 66, huh?
Right? Beverly Hills.
So what are you seeing from the people that you work for your constituents, so to speak, for the people that pay into your bureaus? What is the number one question that they're asking outside of when are we opening? What's the number one question they're looking for guidance from you guys?
Well, for us, we're funded by transient occupancy tax, so we don't have a membership.
Oh, okay.
We have 17 hotels, but our ADR is pretty high. Well, it was pretty high. So all of our funding comes from that. And I think the number one question really from our hoteliers and my board of directors is let's advocate to try and get, the approval to open up, earlier. I think what's happening in California is a lot of counties are being cleared and a lot of counties are not. So you can't necessarily, shop, dine, stay in a hotel for discretionary travel right now. But if you go to Ventura, you can, or you go to Orange County, you can. Right. So it's provided quite a bit of a challenge for us. And our hotels just want us to be very vocal about, creating parity among, the whole entire region.
Out of 17 hotels, how many are open?
We have we have about 5 hotels that are closed.
Okay.
Right. That's got to be pretty stressful then to be competing against other jurisdictions when you should all be kind of being behind the same type of effort together because they seem to have an advantage now over you. And it's so critical for you to be able to tap into those travel dollars right now for all those hotels that haven't been doing a lot of business lately. Right, Julie?
Absolutely. And, and we're also competing for the same customers. So all of these other destinations are able to get in market to talk to our customers and to get them right out of the bat. They're all anxious and got a lot of pent up demand. And so they're choosing to go elsewhere because we're not allowed to bring them here.
And that's going to hurt all hotels that are out there. But check this one out. Chris Predieri says, we went from 25% to 70% occupancy over the holiday weekend, back to 25% today. That shows when people can, they are going to get out. Mitch, what was your weekend like there?
Well, we reopened our signature hotel attached to the convention center, and it's and they were upward of 50% occupancy. And again, it just goes to show, like you said, when people are able to get out, they get out. Now, there are still many things we are not doing. So while we're taking steps to reopen, we want to do it responsibly. One of the big draws here, we're a Western heritage town with a historic stockyards, is we do a twice daily cattle drive, and people gather all around the street. Well, that attraction is, like many attractions, is closed. So over the weekend, we opened everyone's getting creative with this situation. We revised that to be a social distance experience where you can stand around and see the demonstration of cowboys and cowgirls with the cattle. And but that's a very new thing. And we're, it's the hand washing stations. It's all this stuff. But frankly, it brought people down to the stockyards, and we saw people taking advantage of that. This photo is Mayor Price at the unveiling of this with all the signage you would expect to see. Some of our attractions are saying that our zoo is opening this week, and they said you'll see more signs than animals. So everybody's trying to do this the right way, but the hotels definitely are working with us on that.
I love the creativity of that sign. Whoa, keep 6 feet apart. It's very much within the spirit and tenor and tone of what you're trying to transmit while reminding people to be safe. So it's very on brand for you guys.
And I'm trying to figure out if that sign is actually 6 feet wide, if they were standing 6 feet away from each other.
Yeah. It's going to be a little rough for the guys riding on top of the bulls, but I'm sure you guys are going to figure that part of the equation out. But I got to say, a little shameless plug for your jurisdiction. The first time I ever went to a rodeo was in Fort Worth. I was alone. I was on a business trip. Must have been 20-something years ago. And I thought it was just the most awesome, fun time, drinking a Coors Light, hanging out in the stands, and really immersing myself in Texas culture. But don't worry, I had some amazing beef ribs after that. That may have been how I fell in love with barbecue, Anthony, and why I started doing it at home.
Oh, let's not talk about your pork butt. Okay, so Mary Quinn, what was it like for your weekend?
Well, Kentucky has been very cautious throughout this, throughout the last 3 months. Our governor especially been very judicious with how he's reopened. And so for us, we were just beginning to dip our toe into reopening this past weekend, and we saw several of our restaurants reopen, which was fantastic to see life in their establishments again. And we did see a nice little uptick in our hotels. We still have a very long way to go. And we have much of the sort of industry that is still closed. So I am very hopeful about June. I think we'll begin to see our attractions reopen and our tours resume. And I know that people are very eager to get out and about. Much like Julie and Mitch, we are focusing on that drive market. The good thing about Kentucky is it has 7 contiguous states. And so we've got a lot of people that we can talk to within a 300-mile radius. Not just throughout the rest of the state of Kentucky, but those contiguous states as well. So we're excited to get going. Of course, we're doing it cautiously, trying to make sure that we don't do anything that puts us back where we've been, and assure people that they're safe when they're in town.
Excellent. I just want to add, Mitch, I don't want to think that we're insulting you here for him mentioning the pork butt thing. We know that you're about brisket and beef ribs, and we'll leave pork butt comments to folks from like Kentucky, for example, where they can embrace more pork barbecue. All right. So just wanted to clear that part up. But Mary Quinn, so how much are you then dependent on the government for moving things forward right now in Kentucky? And how does that affect what's going on in all of those contiguous states around you? Can you guys go back and forth for states? And the reason why I'm asking this is because one of our readers up here said this: watch out for checkpoints. We were pulled over for having New York plates entering Orlando over the Memorial Day weekend, and Orrin had to fill out track and trace forms. Is that something you folks are concerned with? That to me is one of those points of friction that might get people to not want to come to your great state.
It's a great question, and it's really interesting. So as I mentioned, we've got a lot of contiguous states, and being in central Kentucky, it doesn't take that long in the car to get over to Ohio or to Indiana or down to Tennessee. Probably most interesting of all for those of us in the hospitality industry here in this area is the fact that the states have had very different approaches. So Kentucky's had a very cautious approach, but Tennessee has been much more liberal. So for Kentuckians, at least, the travel ban was lifted last Friday. That was when we were allowed to, leave the state other than a medical or family emergency for the first time since late March. And people, as I mentioned, there was a lot of pent up demand to get out on the road and do some traveling again. I think that we will, I am not aware of anything that is as much of a friction point as a sort of checkpoint, but I do think that our governor is watching very closely. And as we know with this virus, sometimes it takes for up to 2 weeks. So we'll see in a couple of weeks how we're looking. And we are incredibly dependent in this industry in Kentucky upon his leadership and his direction. So if he's not liking what he's seeing in mid-June, then we could be subject to, some further restrictions, which is why I think everyone that is in the hospitality industry in Kentucky is really trying to do this the right way. We're trying to get it right the first time so that we don't put ourselves back in a compromised state.
I sure hope so, but I do think, and this is my personal opinion here, that Pandora's box has opened, and it's going to be very hard to go back to closing down states, back to closing businesses and all of that sort of thing. I think that at this point, it's going to be moving forward, and it's a good opportunity for all of you to leverage that with the right safety measures in place, as Mary Quinn just underscored. So, Julie, what are you seeing anything outside of the typical safety measures that we're seeing put in all the hotels, with trying to keep physical distancing, trying to up the cleanliness factor, all of those things that have become, I'd say, the norm over the last month?
Can you hear me? Because my internet.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that, a lot of the big brands are forming partnerships. So Hilton is working with Lysol, Four Seasons is working with International SOS and Johns Hopkins. And I think that, in terms of consumer sentiment, what we're really hearing is it's all about safety, and people want to feel safe. They want to see the hand washing stations. They want to see the rooms being cleaned, the handles being wiped. So most of our hotels are really focused on not only following state guidelines for cleanliness in California Hotel and Lodging Association and American Hotel and Lodging Association, but they're also forming new partnerships with subject matter experts to really make customers feel more relaxed when they're coming into the destination. And I think the other thing that, from a hotel perspective, is that they're probably going to take advantage of all of these cleanliness measures and promote that to help get a leg up on vacation rentals. Because if you know that a hotel establishment is doing all this to sanitize and make sure that you're safe, in a vacation rental situation, you're not always sure about that. So I think they'll use that as a competitive advantage as well.
Good point. I think you're right. I get that question a lot, and I think that that's a really good point. But there's also a great opportunity for those vacation rentals to show what they're doing to keep everyone safe and to really think out of the box and be creative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Mary Quinn, how much longer do you think this focus on safety thing is realistically going to be with us? Do you think it's going to be this summer? Do you think it's going to be through the end of the year? Is this a permanent change in what we can expect? Or do you think people are just going to be able to normalize, and when it comes to your marketing efforts and thoughts, you're going to be able to go back to more traditional approaches?
Sorry, I had to unmute there.
That's all right. If you're doing this show every day, you get used to the boom, 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 back and forth sort of thing.
Unless you're me, and then you don't. Unless you're me.
No, but I'm too polite to call him out on that.
Glenn, unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball, but I sure wish that I did. I definitely think that there's going to be a very strong message about safety and health measures throughout the summer. And I think it's going to be curious for all of us to see how the summer goes. And I think if we see the virus start to, not dominate daily headlines, then maybe we move into the fall with a little less emphasis on some of those strong messages around safety and wellness. That being said, if we have an uptick and people start to get concerned again, I think we will just double down on that message about safety and wellness. I think people are definitely looking for assurances. When you look at travel sentiment studies that are being done, weekly right now, I think people are really wanting to have a visible assurance that you are doing what is necessary to keep them safe. And so for our industry, so much about cleaning and sanitation and those sort of safety protocols was done back of the house. And now I think we're going to see a lot more signage and a lot more, just thinking about housekeeping in a hotel. I think those are going to be very visible ways that hoteliers can demonstrate, listen, we're taking good care of your room, we're taking good care of our hotel, you're safe while you're here. I think there will be some legacy from this, but my gut, at least at this point, is that as we get further away from the public health crisis, and as we get closer to a vaccine, in many ways, I think people will go back to life as it was prior to the pandemic. And thankfully for us, that means a life full of travel, because
Right.
I believe humans by nature have an innate desire to explore and discover and to gather with other people.
And I think you're right. In reference to hotels, I think you're exactly right that the visual signs are important, but also I really think when people say, well, going to hotel is probably the most dangerous place you can go to, I completely disagree with that. Being an operator for over 30 years, I think it's one of the safest places you can go, simply because we have control of the environment. Once you leave, we can control that environment, get it spotless. But again, getting back to all the brands and the standards that they're creating, is they have to do it right all the time. And I agree with what you're saying, is that most of us get back to our old habits. However, in the hospitality industry, I think there will be legacy. I think things will stay. I think the cleanliness and the hygiene and the real sense of alert that we have to keep people safe, I think it's here for a long time. I just think it's going to be built into the standards. The brands own or basically branded most of the hotels in the country. So I think that's going to go on for a very, very long time. It's just a new way of doing business. We'll get smarter at it. We'll make sure it's more on us, less on the customer, and it'll cost us less money long term. But I think it's here to stay. I wouldn't know why you would stop cleaning as much as you were cleaning. I wouldn't understand. It's not good for your guests, because a lot of your guests are going to be have a new standard.
So, Mitch, and I got to ask you, when you're talking about promoting your destination, yes, you have to focus on that hygiene issue, which we've been saying is the new luxury here on our program every single day. But at the same point, you can't lose sight of the fact that you've got an interesting, unique destination that you need to cut through all the marketing clutter to get people to pay attention to. How do you combine both of those things to create clear, coherent messaging that gets people to say, I'm going to hop in my car this weekend and go to Fort Worth?
Well, it's really what Glenn was just saying. I agree with that. We've been emphasizing clean for a while, maybe not with the co-branded Lysol cleaning and all of those things, but we've had a clean team downtown for years in our downtown improvement district. The bulk of our downtown is owned by a private family and developer that our number one calling card with conventions is the freedom to roam around and that it's clean and safe. So I think, again, it augments those themes that have been in the industry before, and it takes us to a new level. And at the same time, I think it allows us the opportunity to, because we are not focused on big events. The Dallas Cowboys AT&T Stadium are just a stone's throw down the road, but really focused on, as Julie and Mary were saying, the ability to roam around and focusing on those images that are open sky, that show, a lot of outdoors. Outdoor dining is wildly popular in Texas. There are fewer restrictions on outdoor dining than indoor dining. And so I think focusing on those kind of outdoor, especially outdoor themes, obviously a lot of us are scrubbing our websites. We're not showing crowded shots. But
right.
one thing I want to add real quick.
Well, that's a great tip. I don't know if everybody's doing that, but I love that idea, because you want to create that perception that people are spaced out. Sorry, I just wanted to underscore that. Please continue.
I just wanted to add something that I know all three of us share in common, is that the hospitality industry is not just made up of the hotels. They have been the leaders in setting these standards. But up to 80% of the hospitality industry is made up of small business. What are they doing? So we formed a private-public partnership with the mayor and business here, hotels and small business, to say who is complying with the governor's standards. Governor Abbott's been very clear about what he expects us to do in reopening. And that check mark you saw relaunched yesterday as a Reopen Responsibly program. So if you're following the guidelines you should be, you can sign up for this program and really show the collective positive intent of the community in trying to do the right thing.
Excellent. Mary Quinn, how about you? How are you approaching this particular issue? Uh-oh. I think she removed herself. Boom.
There we go.
Hey, winner.
Sorry about that. I promise I've been on Zoom before and
Well, this is StreamYard, so it's a whole new skill set.
Totally different, just totally different. Operator error 100% of the time. No, much like Mitch was saying, we've been working very closely with our mayor and our public health commissioner on reopening blueprint. We actually sent that to our governor last Monday. We had 8 different industry sector groups that met over the course of a few weeks. We looked at national standards that were coming out from our various associations. We also looked at what the governor was recommending in terms of his reopening benchmarks. Again, like Mitch, a governor with very clear directives on what we needed to be doing. And so we tried to create a very common sense guide and blueprint that would be easy for organizations of all types and sizes to implement. And we want to just make sure that in our messaging, we're very clear. Wherever you are in the travel continuum in Lexington, you should have a universal experience that prioritizes your health and your safety. And so I think you're going to see a lot of that throughout the country with folks eager to reopen and wanting to do it in a responsible fashion.
Yeah, excellent. All right, so one question from viewer Steve Durasmo. Have any of the CVBs received any direct assistance from state or federal government to promote the CVB mission? I didn't even know if that's an option out there for folks like you. Nope. Nope. Lots of head shaking. That's too bad. You guys should get a little bit of help right now, especially because I feel as if, and you'll tell me if I'm right or wrong, you're going to be a little bit more constrained. Julie, you're talking about your budget is based on those occupancy taxes and stuff like that. If you don't have people staying in the hotels to help you pay to advertise to get people there, well, then it seems to me that you're falling into a vicious circle spiral, that you're going to have a lot more challenges ahead. So Julie, have you thought about that? How do you address that, if so?
Well, I'm putting my budget together for next year, and we had to cut our budget by 45% to match what the city is projecting for next year. And a lot of us go by Smith Travel Research reports, and we look at their forecasts, and recovery is going to be per Smith, per some of what we've found in the industry. It's going to take a long time, and you had asked earlier, is there going to be, is this a long-term protocol? I think a lot of this is here to stay. I think we've completely altered people's consciousness. So, we had to lay off staff. We had to cut a lot of our programs. And unfortunately, I think some of that is going to be here to stay until we see some recovery in terms of tax generation. I think the other thing that you were talking about that really kind of was poignant for me is, there's all these safety protocols that, are being stipulated as the guide for the return to business. But I think what's really important is enforcement, because anytime you start to get wayward businesses or people or establishments that decide they're going to start cutting corners, then the whole thing falls like a house of cards. So I think the role of the CVB now is going to become even broader than it was before in terms of maintaining the experience.
Interesting.
And I think that's a good point. And one of the things that we saw in the numbers is your weekend were 70%, and then it went back to 25%. And that's because of corporate business. So the leisure traveler can make a decision for their family, and we can go. But the corporate traveler is making a decision for his company, for the people that work for him. So we have to show, to your point, Julie, that the house of cards doesn't fall, that we are doing everything, because that's the person we have to convince. The leisure travel, I think, is going to be there. It's the corporate traveler. It's the conventions, exactly what you guys are in business to do. I think that is the customer we're speaking to. And the quicker they come back, the quicker our economy comes back and our hospitality comes back, period.
If you don't mind me interjecting,
Please don't interject me ever.
Yeah, listen, if you try to interrupt Anthony, there is hell to pay.
Well, apparently. But I just want to add, first we have to get, some of our states to approve discretionary travel. Right now, it is not allowed to travel for leisure. So people are doing it. The hotels can't ask you when you check in, are you here for essential travel or leisure travel? But the bottom line is that needs to be, that gate needs to be opened so that we can start a proper recovery.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, Justin summarized the problem here. Hardship for tourism budgets. You need people, but can't have people, but need people, or you can't have people. I think that really says it. So to me, the thing is, I guess, Mitch, is reminding people that you're there. Get that idea that they can start to travel again. We've got a great video, Jeff, if you'll pull that up, that we could show, that is reminding people to travel to places like Fort Worth. If we could bring that up. Jeff, you there? Hello. Hello.
Jeff's on the plane to Fort Worth right now.
There he is. Boom. He was wrestling a steer to the ground so I could have a good brisket tonight.
Music. The smell of barbecue smokers. Freedom. Riverfront trails. The lions and giraffes will be ready to greet you. The colors will be bolder and brighter. The sights of longhorns on historic bricks. The modern West is closer than you think. Y'all get ready. Visit Fort Worth.
That's great. To me, that was really meaningful and impactful, because it's reminding people about the love of travel, about the things that they could do, Mitch, without hitting them over the head with saying, get out and travel now. I felt like you're being considerate of people's feelings right now, how some may want to travel but don't yet feel ready to travel. So great approach. How did this campaign come together? What was that like?
Well, I didn't know if I needed to translate the words on the screen. Y'all get ready.
I went to the University of Maryland, so I learned y'all.
Hey,
I got to the Mason-Dixon line.
I spent 5 years in Missouri, so I come home from the Air Force and I walk into my house, and the first dinner, at the end of the dinner, my brother Angelo turns to me and goes, if you say y'all one more time, I'm going to punch you in the face. True story.
Funny. But
it took me a year to get rid of y'all.
But I also lived in Brooklyn for a long time, so I'm like, sup, y'all? I do that an awful lot. So bring a little East Coast South together.
That's how we talk in Brooklyn.
Hey, how you doing? All right, Mitch.
Well, it really goes back to what Mary Quinn was saying, is that we want to be very careful about, despite the steps we're taking, to be gentle with that message and to remind people. Obviously, we're saying get ready. We would like to go out with a little stronger invitation in a few weeks as we see how things are going. But it's also important to be out there. And back to what Julie was saying, it's so important what she said about the bigger role that tourism will play, that we are funded by hotel occupancy taxes, and we want to increase business for our hotel partners. But we're also talking to the community about what role does tourism play in the community's rebound? How do we rebuild the community, not just for the sake of bringing in visitors, but the role that their investment plays in our community, the spending that benefits the beyond just downtown, although downtown first and then spreading out. So it's important that we get out there, because the community is asking us. They see that road to recovery, and they know that tourism will be a big part of kickstarting that before other things come back. So that's the tone we were trying to hit in the message.
Nice. So let's bring it to the others. Mary Quinn, I'd love to hear from you. What are you thinking about when it comes to reminding people about the benefits of coming to Lexington? How are you thinking of you're going to do what Mitch has done to get people salivating again over the idea of travel?
Well, we are in the process of working on that campaign right now. And while I don't have any here today, I can tell you that our messaging is going to focus on we're really blessed in Kentucky. Basically, the whole state is one big park, really. And so we're going to talk about wide open spaces, and we're going to talk about, the sort of thrill and fun of exploration, particularly leveraging those outdoor assets, at least in this first phase, as I mentioned. And then we'll go from there. With respect to our meeting planners and the conventions that meet in the city, right now we're just trying to, we've got a convention center that's under construction, so we're just trying to stay future forward. We are definitely trying to strike an aspirational tone. We're going to throw in a little humor, because I think we all need humor to keep us sane. And so we're very excited about getting back on the road with that. And I think, as I mentioned before, that drive market is going to be very in the early stages of this. So
Yeah, and I like the words you said, future forward. I want everybody to use those words 3 times a day, future forward, because we know what's behind us. We know what's in front of us. You know, we every day we feel it. We, like you said, we have to look at the governor. We hope that they open up. We hope they get a vaccine. There's so many things that we're all hoping for and worried about. But future forward, we have to be thinking about the future and how we recover. And I think that those words are strong, and I will promise you that I will use those every single day, and I'll try to use them on the show because I think that says it more than anything. And as far as that comedy and joking around kind of keeps you sane, I've had 3 professional comedians hired to keep Glenn sane. Has not worked.
No, it has not. But I will say, you know, I said something fun about. I said something about Fort Worth that was fun, so I'm going to say something about Lexington, and then I'll say something that I really like about Beverly Hills in a little while. But in Lexington, I had the chance to go to the Keeneland racetrack, opened originally, I think, 1936-ish or so. What a great historic racetrack that was. What a special place that was. You get really up and close with the thoroughbreds and really experience it. Much more so than here at the tracks in Queens, Aqueduct and Belmont I'm referring to. Also, just outside, I love the Kentucky Castle, one of the coolest restaurant catering facilities I've ever seen. Some guy actually built a castle in the middle of Kentucky. So that's worth the price of admission alone to go to check out Lexington and the surrounding areas.
Thank you for that plug.
Sure. And Julie, man, I love Beverly Hills. It's really cool. I love how I don't feel like I could afford to shop in any of the stores. I feel like I'm never going to be able to drive any of those automobiles, mostly because I never learned to drive a stick shift, and those cars are way too cool for me because I didn't love that. But Auntie and we did the Forbes travel event at the Beverly Hilton Waldorf in 2018. And I hadn't been to Beverly Hills in a long time. So getting to hang out there, go across the street to the Peninsula, I just felt really in the mix, very glitterati being there. So I love that I could, put on my boots and go to a rodeo. I could feel like I'm hanging out with the glitterati, or I can just have some down home Kentucky bluegrass feel by going to a racetrack. That's what I love about this country, Anthony. So many great destinations, so many distinct things that you could do. And I really hope that people are going to get out there and travel again.
I love America. I'll tell you, when I'm in Beverly Hills, and Glenn knows this, I always wind up, no matter where I'm staying, no matter what we're doing, it could be 2:00 in the morning. I always wind up at the Peninsula Bar, sitting in a corner, having a Johnny Walker Blue, having something off their menu, and just hanging out. It reminds me, I used to be director of front office operations at Plaza, and I used to sit in the Oak Room with my scotch and just look over Central Park. So the room that gives me the most pride outside of the Oak Room, which is closed now, is that room. So, but I love Beverly Hills a lot. Every time I have a chance to go there, and I've stayed at the Peninsula a lot, but I've stayed at all those fabulous hotels. And, I just hope that the ones that are closed come back. I know the Four Seasons closed, right?
Yeah.
And, they're going to renovate, or what's their plan? Do you know?
They're planning on coming back. Actually, the regional VP and general manager of that hotel is my incoming chair for next year. So they just are waiting to, see that the business is returning, and make sure that all of their programs are in place. And to the general manager's credit, he just wants to make sure that nobody gets sick at his property, and so he wants it to be perfect.
Yeah, and it has to be. It's the Four Seasons. And talking about perfect, why don't you talk about that conversation we had yesterday with
thank you for teeing me up for that. If you want to talk about legendary hoteliers, why yesterday's show we featured the one and only Horst Schulze, not the Four Seasons, but created or was a big implementer of all of the policies that you see at the Ritz-Carlton. Ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen, we talk about all of that and a lot more. Just check our past feeds and you'll enjoy that show more than anything, except for this show that's happening right now. This show's much better.
And what he said that really stood out with me, he could have said anything. He said, the future is about ensuring, not just tomorrow, but going way into the future forward, is about making sure people feel that your hotel is clean. When he said those words, I was like, really? Like we look to him for so much guidance, but really that's what it comes down to. It's that simple. And Glenn's sick and tired of me saying it. Everybody's sick and tired of me saying it, but I cannot emphasize that enough. And that he said it, I felt like, okay, it's not going away anytime soon. He knows the future is tied to those visual cues and to what you're showing. Because the number one thing when you are on vacation, and this is kind of why I underline this, I don't want to worry. I want to take off my mask. I want to take off my gloves. I don't want to take out my Lysol. I don't want to take out my wipes. I don't want my kids to worry. I don't want my wife to say, put this down, put that down. Don't sit there. Don't stand there. Don't stand near him. I want you to do it for me. I want you to do it with your ability to make social distancing without barriers, maybe with furniture or maybe with flower pots. I want you to make sure that when I walk into that room, it says sealed for your protection. No housekeepers come in while I'm there. There's so many ways you can do it. So as soon as I get in there, pre-COVID, when you went into a hotel room, you thought no one ever stayed in that hotel room. I want to go back to that. And if you do it right, you can go back to that.
Excellent. All right. So, Anthony, I want to wrap up this segment in a little bit different way. Usually we ask people to talk positively, but I got a great question from the audience. What is on your bucket list for your next adventure? Now, obviously, we know what numbers 1, 2, and 3 are because their representatives are sitting here right now, but you can't say your own city that you would go to. We already know your city is the best, all right? So we'll each do this. Let's start with Julie. Where would you want to go for your next adventure after Beverly Hills?
I want to go see the gorillas in Rwanda.
Oh, wow.
Nice. I love that. Mary Quinn, what about you?
I want to head to Buenos Aires.
Oh, Buenos Aires. I love that. Mitch, how about yourself?
Well, I love international. We have 60 international destinations we served before COVID, but before that comes back, because it's going to be a while, I'm off to West Texas to Big Bend. It's a great national park and a really special place.
Love it. I love that. Anthony, I see what you're saying backstage. That's where I was supposed to go this summer. What do you? Where do you want to go?
I want to Japan. I want to go to Japan. I want to go back to Switzerland, and I want to ski Switzerland again. But Japan has been on my bucket list. It's someplace that I just feel an affinity for, and I think if I was stationed there in the military, I don't think I'd ever come back to America. It was just, there's something about the culture that I've always, and I haven't done a lot of reading about it, I haven't done a lot, but it's just something about that culture that inspires me and just seems quieter, and it just seems just more, I don't know, there's something that I really
refined.
Right. And I also want to go to that wonderful resort in Long Island where I can get some barbecue and a pool.
Yes, make your reservations right now for the Hausman Resort Pool Club and Smokehouse happening right here in Smithtown this week.
You guys are open now?
We are officially open, but until we go from 0 to 100% occupancy, which would be anybody coming by, then we'll turn on the pool heater. So make your reservations now. We're excited to serve you all summer long. All right. But seriously, where I would go, I really did want to get back to Japan. But if I'm really thinking practically speaking, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to do with my family this summer, I'm thinking I'm probably going to hop into a car. I'm probably going to go with my family to visit some places around New York State. Allow me to support people that are in my extended community while also giving my family a chance to travel. So I think the first steps for me is to do that. But as soon as I can get back on an airplane, I definitely want to go over to Asia. I wanted to go to Japan. I want to go to South Korea. I really want to go to places like Vietnam as well. So many great places in this world, so little time. But quite frankly, I've got to get to Fort Worth, Beverly Hills, and Lexington before I'm allowed to go anywhere else. All right. So, Anthony, how about we get some shameless plugs from everybody? What do you think about that?
Why don't we do that? Why don't we get some shameless plugs from everybody?
All right. Mitch, how about a good shameless plug to come and visit you folks?
Shameless plug is we have the best hospitality in Texas. Anthony, you've been talking about on the podcast, on the cast, that it's about family, and it is everybody will greet you here. If you run into the mayor, she'll ask if she can take your picture for you, and really, again, it's those family values extending to the community. And so whether you're here to see the cattle or our 5 museums or just walk around downtown, there's plenty of places to roam, and we can't wait for you to get here.
Right. I like how you said you're the best. Hey, forget Austin, forget San Antonio. You guys can't hold a candle to Fort Worth. Mary Quinn, how about you?
I would say that we are ready for you in Lexington. We've got more bourbon than we do people. So pull up a chair. We'd love to have you sip some on a porch with us. We've got beautiful horses and, as Mitch mentioned, some pretty fantastic Southern hospitality. So we certainly look forward to your visit.
Beautiful. I love it. And Julie, how about yourself? Let's talk Beverly Hills. Why should we come out there?
Well, luxury is key in Beverly Hills, but we like to talk about customizable luxury.
Love it.
That we have something for every appetite. So if you want the $30,000 dress and the best sushi restaurant in the United States and the penthouse suite, well, we can do that. But if you want to come with your family and play in the park and eat at the First Cheesecake Factory or California Pizza Kitchen and paint pottery and get a cupcake at an ATM, well, you can do that with us too. And you can do it in a walkable square mile and a half, and it's all at your fingertips.
Well, Julie, I want you to do me a favor when I come to town, okay? It's not a hard ask, okay? I want to have dinner with Sylvester Stallone on his mountaintop, resort house. I want to work out in Joe Rogan's gym, okay? And I just want to have a drink at the Peninsula. Can you make that happen?
Absolutely. We'll hook you up.
Thank you.
All right. I like that attitude. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Love to get you back on once we get the travel gears going and find out how your summer went. So thank you guys so much. Wow, what a great interview time that was. Man, I got to tell you, that was super fun. Hey, let's let someone compliment us. As always, you've both delivered an excellent hour of fun-filled wisdom with all your esteemed guests. Thank you so much. Keep it up, folks. All the best wishes to all. Hamal, thank you so much for your kind words.
Hamal, if you could do me a favor, and if everyone listening do us a favor, go to our podcast link, review us online.
Yes.
For our podcast, for this show. We haven't had a review. We have more visitors than we've ever had. We have 500,000 unique clicks every month, but not a lot of reviews on our podcast. So please do that for us. It helps us. And I'll tell you, every day it's more and more fun. Yesterday being the funnest, but I can't wait to see what's around the corner, Glenn. What great guests we have coming up, Glenn?
That's a really great question. I wish I had my list prepared so I could act like we had our act together. But we don't, and this is what we call stalling in the live broadcast business. All right, so today we focused on these great folks. Tomorrow we're going to be focusing a little bit more on ownership. So we've got the CEO of Newcastle Hospitality, Julian Buffum. We had him on a checking in broadcast prior. Sanjay Patel as well is going to be here. We're going to be talking a little bit about the CMBS crisis, I think, with him, insurance issues that are happening out there, all of those types of things that you need practically in order to find success in the interim period before we hit back to normalization.
Absolutely. And where are we with we have our meetings live. Where are we with our third party guests? Any third party guests willing to come on? Hotel Expedia.
Oh, nowhere.
David,
yet.
Producer.
I got to work on that too. That's all my fault. So
no,
hey,
David,
OTA people. OTA people, if you're listening, drop us a line. Reach me at Glenn, Glenn, at rouse.media, or just ping me at Traveling Glenn. Let's get you on the show. We want to hear about what you're thinking out there because, quite frankly, every hotelier that we speak to talks about how OTAs are an essential part of their overall marketing strategy. We want to know how you're going to be helping those hoteliers get to their goal of filling as many hotel rooms as possible every single night.
And every hotelier wants to be on the show. We're 2 or 3 weeks booked. So we will make a slot for you. Please don't hide from us. Please come on. We'll be nice to you. I like OTAs. We need OTAs. So please come on our show. I should actually look at my Rolodex and start calling my friends. I should help you out, Glenn.
Yeah. Do you know anyone in this business at all?
I might know a few people. I don't know.
And Colleen suggests, tell your friends to donate to GoFundMe. Thank you so much for that plug. Colleen, I know you donated, so I want to thank you personally for helping out frontline hospitality workers pay their bills. They've lost their jobs. They need your help in order to be able to get by. And also, Daniel says, hey, Hospitality Strong, you got that right. GoFundMe.com.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about our charity. Please go to GoFundMe USA Hospitality Strong. We're having a poker tournament June 3rd. Please donate what you can. Thursday, is tomorrow Thursday?
Yeah.
Oh, I better get my stuff together. We have a webinar.
2 p.m., right?
Jeremy Pinkerton at 2 p.m. we will be basically asking the experts. So ask us anything. Glenn, you're invited if you'd like to be on as well.
Excellent.
And we can ask you some questions. But please go to our webinar. You can go to hospitalitysuccess.com or Hospitality Success on our Facebook to sign up. It's a free webinar. Ask the expert. Ask me anything. Ask Jeremy anything. She's an expert at revenue management. We're here for you.
All right. It looks like we just got confirmed the CEO of Extended Stay America, so that'll be pretty good. We should have him on next week. And then, of course, on June 10th, we've got Hilton's CFO, the number 2 guy in the entire company, just behind.
Do you know what CFO stands for?
You
know what CFO stands for?
I'm afraid to ask you, man. What does it
Chief
stand for?
Fantastic Officer.
Well, Kevin Jacobs, you are fantastic for coming in and talking to us live on air on June 10th. That's going to be absolutely fabulous. Don't forget, subscribe to the newsletter. Text the word hotel to 66866. Find us everywhere you want to go. NoVacancyNews.com. Hospitality Success, a great Facebook group to help you succeed out there. Anthony, people are participating. It's an unbelievable thing you put together there.
I'll tell you, our VP of Client Services, Chad, has been talking to some clients because we've opened up our business again. We've closed it. We've done everything for free up until this point. We're now opening up our business again, and Chad has done an amazing job. So please go to hospitalitysuccess.com, find out about our company. But we're giving free webinars right now. Soon those will be closed because we have to get back to business, but we want to do our part right now. And Chad, our VP of Client Services, is there to help you through this process, to know how to get the free webinars and also how to get involved with Hospitality Success. I'm sorry. My friend, Glenn.
Yes, sir.
I haven't complimented you in a while.
Yeah, and I've missed it.
Yes. I wanted to tell you how incredibly on point you've been lately.
Thanks, man. I want to thank you for being such a great partner here. This is just, getting to work with you every day is just such a pleasure, and getting to hear all the great compliments from the community about what you're doing and what we're doing together is just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. And you know what? We're not going away, man. When everything starts open, we're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing it probably on the road a lot more, but we're going to be doing it every day. We're committed to doing it every day. And, this is something that has become the touchstone for our industry. And I can't believe I've said those words, but that's what people are telling us.
Yep.
And it's, again, getting back to, we've said it over and over and over and over again, but it's the quality of our guests. I mean, you see the spike when we have someone like Horst Schulze on. I mean, you can't get Horst Schulze. I mean, it's not an easy get. And then for him to come on, he'll come on again. And hopefully he sold more books because the book is.
Oh, he definitely sold more books.
Yeah. And, but I'd like to have him on maybe once a month. I think he can be a returning guest, and Jerry and Zarello. And anyway, so please go to Hospitality Strong on GoFundMe. Appreciate you donating whatever you can. June 3rd is our poker tournament. David's doing a great job with that. GoFundMe.com, USA Hospitality Strong. Play poker against me. I've been playing poker online a little bit with my friends, and I $20 a night, and I've been losing a lot. I haven't been concentrating. There was a charity event that I actually participated in. It was $50 buy-in, and I actually came in second. I almost won. It was at 28 people. I almost won it because I concentrated because it was $50.
Wow.
When I concentrate, I do well. But the last couple of days, I've been miserable. But anyway.
So play poker with Anthony. He's doing miserable. You have a chance to beat him. And if you win, you get a happy hour video session with Anthony. Only for the $300 buy-in. And don't forget, $1,000 to co-host the show with me. That's going to help your brand.
I think Larry Corman's bought that. Larry, right? You bought that, right, Larry? All
right. Well, we'll find out.
David, mention it to him when you talk to him. You have his information. So mention it to Larry. All right.
All right, so the only thing left to say, hold on. Oop, I brought up the wrong one from Daniel. Remember, guys, you've got one life, so blaze on. And Anthony.
Thanks for checking in, guys.
Yeah, see you all tomorrow when we've got